For me, there were so many valuable lessons in not really seeing success right out of the gate in direct sales. It gave me an opportunity to really focus on other things that some people never really need, which is an extremely strong work ethic. If it comes so easy to someone, it's easy to slip into a trap of just doing the bare minimum to get what is considered an acceptable result. But the gift, which I received, which I definitely didn't think it was at the time, was to go through a struggle over the course of a 5-week period of time. And finally, it just came down to the point where my manager couldn't figure it out. So he sent out a regional manager that would hopefully shadow me and fix whatever was broken with my salesmanship. So we had a chance to go out. We started knocking doors. And he let me go and pitch this person. And then across the street, we found another person that I could pitch. And we get done, and he says, what you said to this guy over here and what you said to this woman over here were two completely different pitches, and neither one of them made sense. And that explained a lot, because as I had a chance to go back and think about my rejections, they were always door slams or, I don't have time for this right now. Basically, they were communicating that they didn't have the patience to work through whatever I was trying to communicate. And so he finally said, he's like, look, you got to get some structure to what you're saying out there. Go home, go through our manual, here's a couple different scripts, and write down what you're going to say. And so this started my quest to overcoming my learning curve. It was way more of a methodical way than most people do it, but therein lies the beauty in mastering any conversation when it comes to sales. Now for me, this happened to be a door approach, but this can be an entire sales talk. Your whole presentation, you can put it together like this. First step, write it out word for word. And so that's exactly what I did. I completed the project, and in my mind, I had the Mona Lisa of door approaches. I thought it was completely perfect. And just for the fun of it, I happened to run it by one of the assistant managers on my team. As he started to go through it, I'll never forget this. He said, if you say this line, you're going to get the cops called on you. Yeah. He's like, if you say this, you're going to creep some people out. I'm like, okay, well, I better remove that. And he's like, well, change this, modify this, remove this. And yeah, I think it's pretty great. And I thought, well, awesome. So I didn't realize this, but that led me to the second step, which is to review it. Oftentimes we think that it is a perfect conversation, but when we're able to talk to experts, we realize that there are some things that we can modify that can have a huge impact. So number one, once again, write it out. Number two, review it. Review it with another leader. Number three is I started to read it. And I realized that I couldn't just read it on my own time. I needed to read it when I was talking to homeowners. Because what I had been doing before that is winging it. And trust me, I know you might think this works for you, but for the vast majority, winging it doesn't work. And the reason why is you consistently introduce new variables into that conversation. If every single time it's different and you start to experience rejection, you can't pinpoint why you're getting rejected, because every single time you deliver it, the words are just a little bit different. So what I said is, I'm like, look, I have to get to muscle memory with this. This conversation needs to be mindless. I can say it in my sleep. So what I'll start doing is I'll put this right on the front of my clipboard, or if I typed it up, that can just be the image on the front of my iPad. And every single time that I knock a door, I just said, hey, I just had a couple questions for the people that live here. Are you the homeowner here? Okay, great. And what I realized that it wasn't that weird. It was almost like I was a survey taker. But even if I took one step back, it was to take 2 steps forward. So that every time I deliver the pitch, it's almost identical and the words are consistent, and I've thought about them before, and I know that if I deliver them this way, it makes perfect sense. This same example is very similar to when I first started to get serious about golf. I wasn't very good. I'd played a handful of times through high school and college, and I realized that, look, I can continue to practice my same crappy swing, or I can learn how to do this the right way through golf lessons from a pro. And he would break down my mechanics time and time again so that I was mastering the right way to swing a club. So then when I would go and take it to the course, I would often have to get after myself if my mechanics broke down and I started to slip into old habits. So then I would just start to take it back, break it down, slowly start easing back into the correct way to swing a club, and I was able to see huge progress. Now granted, I was not great when I started, but I was able to shave off probably an average of 50 strokes by doing it this way. Once again, don't rehearse your poor habits. Reinforce those that are going to work consistent time and time and time again. Now, I didn't want to just read this during my entire stint in this position. So I said, I got to memorize this thing. So whenever I had a waking moment, that night or early in the morning, I'm memorizing. Once again, trying to reinforce this, getting this into muscle memory. Now you will quickly see that the first 4 steps, writing it out, reviewing it, reading it, and then memorizing it, all focus on verbal communication. Just the words. I know that's not the most important form of communication, but by mastering the words, it unlocks the most important. Because once again, the words have to be mindless. I need to have someone who says, "What the blankety blank are you doing on my property?" with a heightened state of emotion, and it doesn't impact me. What I mean by that is I will still feel the emotion of what that person said to me, but my words are automatic. I just I deliver it, even though emotionally I'm freaking out. It's just like an NBA basketball player. I don't care what you say. When they're on the line in an NBA Finals and there's 2 seconds left in the game and their foul shots determine if they win or lose, they're freaking out. But because they have done this 400 billion times in practice, muscle memory takes over. That now allows us to unlock the 5th step, which is what I call mastery. It's when you're able to now bring in tone and body language so that that tone is perfect and consistent every time that I deliver it. I remember still to this day practicing the initial question, "Are you the homeowner?" And I would do it in this high inflection. "Are you the homeowner? Are you the homeowner? Are you the homeowner?" I would do it in a way that made me seem overly positive. So what would people do? They would mismatch me. And they'd say, "Yeah, what do you want? Yeah, what do you want?" So I had to learn to do it in that assumptive tone. "Are you the homeowner here? Are you the homeowner?" "You're the homeowner, I assume, right?" Adding in the body language with a simple eye scrunch, nodding my head, allowed me to get people to say answers in the affirmative exactly the way I wanted them to. And I took this exact approach to mastery in every single thing that I said as I was delivering this door approach. I was able to take the 5th step of mastery and perfectly apply it so every single time that I delivered something, that body language matched up perfectly to help me describe exactly what I was doing. So if I ever talked about someone walking up or down the street, or if I ever talked about a sign, or if I ever talked about someone's home, everything had a correct meaning. You guys, writing it out, reviewing it, reading it, memorizing it, and then finally mastering it can be applied to every single conversation that you have with a potential customer. And taking this much attention to detail will allow you to achieve results that no one else is achieving on your team or in your industry. So take it, apply it, and use it.